Hello, global family. Hey.
Yes.
Hello, global family.
Hello, everyone.
Wow. All right.
I know,
So
we can't believe it either.
Yeah, as you can see, we have upgraded to the very last piece of technology that allows this to really look like we're sitting in the same room.
Right.
This is like great piece of
Not
tech.
GPT. It's
we're actually all simulations.
no
So
delay.
for the first time in 200 plus episodes, we are
Yeah.
all in the same room finally. Welcome everyone. Welcome to our global family all around the world who is joining us. We are 3 students of the wisdom of Kabbalah, longtime students, and looking at the historic change that humanity is in, and discussing what that looks like through the lens of the wisdom of Kabbalah. We learn that all of life is filled, all of reality is filled with endless light, with endless, an endless giving force. And yet, if we look at our lives, it seems like everything is suffering. It seems like we're full of problems. So if from this endless giving force that fills all the stars, that fills every living creature, that puts everything into motion, there's some power source. We won't talk about what that is now, but there is some force that gives everything power. Yet when it finally gets to us, it feels totally opposite. It feels like just mess and destruction. So what is that interference in the middle? And what is the opportunity that we have because of it? So that's what we're here to talk about today, together in the same room.
Yes.
Finally,
Yes.
welcome, guys.
Wow.
Welcome.
Wow. It's a special and weird and strange.
Yeah, it's
TGT.
definitely weird to
There's
be
no
sitting near you.
delay, and we can actually talk over each other and still and
hear each
each other. Yeah.
Take advantage of that.
So, guys,
Yeah.
we talked about global pandemic.
Yes.
We talked about war and
Unfortunately.
increasing war. We've talked about mental illness. We've talked about economic collapse. We've talked about so many huge things.
Big deal.
Things,
Like
the global
news.
huge things. Okay, so it is a historic time, like the formation of the earth was a big historic time. Plants. There's not a lot of places. There's only one place where we found life
Yep.
in the whole
As far as
universe.
we know.
Yes.
As
Right.
far as we
Okay.
know.
So that's historic. Some life.
Yeah.
Sure.
Then animals, humans. Another historic moment.
Yep.
We're saying that the moment we're in now is as historic, is as big a time as even the creation of the earth, as even the creation of life. That's what we're up against now. So with all of that hugeness,
You mean 2023, 2022?
what we're going through,
This
this
generation?
transformation,
The
that we're
21st
talking about,
century,
The great
let's say.
transition.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
this transformation that we're
It's
talking
hard to feel that though a little bit. It's hard to feel like, oh, these
It's
are
true.
the special times.
It's true, because unlike all the other things that Seth mentioned, which like you can imagine as like, in front of your eyes,
yeah.
this one is more in your mind and heart.
Yeah, and there's what do you correlate it to? Like the present moment, it's always more difficult to say to compare it to the history. Yeah, you can compare it to like 14 billion years ago. You can do that, but comparing it to like now, right now, what am I comparing it to? Right now is right now.
Right,
You know?
we're not gonna grow a second head. We're
Right.
not gonna grow
Yeah.
4 arms.
Yeah.
So
Right.
where is
Yeah.
the transformation?
Yeah,
Right.
what are we?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
are those Kabbalists talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So with all of this massiveness, creation of life itself, creation of the known universe, and even on Earth, war and pandemics and all these things. What struck me today, this week, in preparing for the show, is that I saw a story, we just talked about it a bit, where chocolate
Oh yeah.
is full, it has, some chocolate has 200% more lead and cadmium, like
Lead?
heavy metals.
Okay,
Oh,
I didn't
so-
see those details.
I didn't
Okay,
But
so
I
the
didn't
point
see
is,
that either.
it's not about chocolate, but the point is that it's almost, because it's not just chocolate, for example. and
Well,
it's
I
not
always
just
went to chocolate, the
organic-
dark chocolate for a healthy snack. That's where I'd always go.
Idida, maybe you can show the stuff we're looking at here. to the viewers as well. Yeah.
And I don't mean to be anticlimactic, like going from these grand things, the world is filled, the reality is filled with endless light, and now we're talking about chocolate. But the point is that because it's not just so there's lead and cadmium, heavy metals, basically.
Those are the serious things, though, too. Those
yeah,
are, like,
which
mess you
lead
up.
to
I read that
mental
it's
issues,
like
organ issues.
that's like an ounce. It's not even that you need like a ton of that to cause harm.
Right.
That you need like even just an ounce, which is what, like a tiny chocolate bar, a day for
Could have
adult
serious heavy
to
metal
have serious,
issues, right?
yeah.
So okay, chocolate. So I was like, okay, so what else has heavy metals in it? Kale,
God.
kale, organic
Kale?
I thought
What?
when I became
Kale?
like first got into like health food, like when I was
Right.
like, in my early 20s, like kale was the king.
That's Whole Foods.
food
That's
that
what they're
you
selling.
Go to.
I remember when I went to America, maybe it was a decade ago or something like that, when kale was big,
popular.
was very big. And the funny thing, it was, no, sorry, it wasn't just kale. It was kale and gluten-free.
Yeah.
Gluten-free was like a very cool phrase for any brand to use
Right.
if they want to sell anything.
Yeah.
And I remember there was kale. That's what there was kale.
everything was kale.
with packaged with something written
Gluten-free or something.
with gluten-free
kale.
written
Throw it on there.
So ridiculous.
You'll
you
sell
know?
a few more.
Yeah.
So vegetables, carrots.
Yeah.
Even if
Carrots have metals in them.
carrots have heavy
But
metals.
carrots are just
in
carrots.
it
How did they
as
get?
well.
How did they
Right. So what the point? Why are we bringing that up in a discussion where we're talking about revealing the purpose of reality?
Wait, so we got to add some. I got more to add to this list.
Okay.
I mean, if we're building up towards a big point here, so it's not just that we've talked about it before, but remember this. We're all eating. You're eating a credit card's worth of plastic a week.
And not only that, it's
A week?
filling
I thought
your
it was
gut.
a year.
No.
Oh.
Every
I
week.
also remembered a year.
So there's like
Oh
all
my
these
God.
microplastics in your gut accumulate from all the food and the that you eat and the stuff you drink and everything. It just accumulates to something that's like a credit card every week in your
Every
gut.
week.
And
That's almost hard to
if
believe.
that's not enough, scientists found microplastics in human breast milk.
Right.
So
I've heard this, yeah.
so that means that babies, inevitably are also having microplastics.
That's the word they use,
in
inevitable.
their system. And, just to kind of add a little bit of a
Right.
So this is why
all of the rainwater on planet Earth now has what they call forever chemicals, like toxins.
So I thought that I would escape to Costa Rica and just open up a shack.
You thought about it. You did think about it. I think.
renting surfboards. Like I thought
Sure.
at some point I was gonna,
It's
escape
messed
the
up
grid.
over there. I'm just come
and
over here.
and
right?
there's a place to go.
There's a friend there's a friend of all three of us. You know them. I'm not gonna say their names. That yesterday told someone that you also know that
He's gonna escape.
that
Brazil?
they're thinking about moving to Costa Rica because of just. But it's a funny thought. And I don't know if it's gonna actually happen, but in that moment when they said it, they were serious, because people are even and this is like people we know.
So
Yeah,
we
so-
should ask the Costa Ricans what they think about all of us just coming
Well, yeah.
to their country,
Yeah.
because that's
Hey,
one
we
thing
heard
that-
things are still fine here. Can
So
you just
last place remaining.
the point and what does this have to do with revealing an endless reality of infinite light? It's we're guys, we're trapped. We ended up in a situation now where even the organic vegetables, if you have a story there also, I put one up about baby food. Even like breast milk. There you go. Thank you. Is it on the broadcast?
yeah,
okay.
Can you show this one? Yeah.
Okay.
Some
Here we go.
foods make
And it's not just some. If anyone wants to look into the story, so arsenic, lead, cadmium, these are heavy metals. So guys, the issue.
Nowhere to run. That's the feeling.
That's
being closed in
nowhere
on
to
is
run.
what it
and the
feels
the point of this show. Listen, I ate dark chocolate as I flew here.
Careful.
I had some in my backpack. I bought some. I'm not going to stop altogether having carrots, and I'm not going to stop getting having a chocolate from time to time. That's not the point. We're not. There's no bubble. Although the billionaires have built themselves bunkers. Like, we're not going to each make a hydroponic garden in our home that somehow is protected from every single
not
toxin.
today and not in a few years.
The point is we all have ended up in a
cesspool,
in a situation where we have trapped ourselves. It's like checkmate. Well, not checkmate. It's check. What is the move now to make? And
it's like what I feel like when you're describing it like this. I feel like the how do you call this game in English? Like in Hebrew we call it plonter.
Never
like
heard that.
when you have how you put there's like a board on the floor with like risk, maybe it's called risk, I don't know. Like there's a board on the floor with like different colors and like circles or something, and you have to put
Twister. Twister.
Your hand
Twister.
So that's what it feels like, but you can't get out. You can't get out.
Yeah.
And what's flowing through the twister is just bad attitudes towards you through the chocolate, and then it's coming back to you from the rain into through the rain and into your breast milk,
because it's all of our
everywhere.
behavior that created, not us, meaning we didn't we didn't spew.
No, I mean take the
environment.
let's sometimes people say that we talk about things in like this global kind of way, and like this is very specific. I mean, this chocolate. Take these chocolates, right? This article.
Organic. It's not. It's just regular Hershey chocolate. It's also Godiva chocolate. It's also Lind chocolate. It's also the the most organic chocolate.
Okay, so
it's across the board.
It's across the board. Some companies still have don't have high levels of metals in their chocolate, but most do, or a lot of them do now. Now, why does it happen? As far as you can understand from what you read, it's because they, in the production process...
You have a picture? I sent an infographic. I don't know if...
about how it works?
Yeah.
No, I don't have that.
Okay, fine. I'll look for it while you're explaining.
But anyway, long story short, these companies whose chocolate has heavy metals in them...
I guess it's cheaper a little bit for them.
It's something that has to do with their workflow. It's not inevitable.
Right.
It's not inevitable. It doesn't need to be like that. It's not that all of a sudden all of the cacao beans in the world...
That's what I thought it was. It was like
No. This is just neglect or trying to get things to be cheaper or whatever.
That makes sense.
That the companies don't make sure what they need to make sure in order for you to not have metals in your chocolate that they sell to you for money. So that's ridiculous if you think about that.
If it's avoidable, that's crazy.
And these intentions, that's an intention that you can see materializing in chocolate.
Yeah.
That's an intention of someone who's producing the chocolate saying, I don't really care about you. I kind of don't care about you.
If you say bottom line,
Here's something else, though. It's not just the guy making the chocolate, because the people who decided to make an organic chocolate company and pay a sustainable wage and do it and grow their cacao in a place, in a country, they go and found a family farm and they grew their cacao there. They may try to do everything right, but if you live on the same planet with anyone else who's not doing that, you still are subject to the exact same
that's an even more important
effects.
Point. So it's basically there's this mutual dependence.
Yeah, nobody who's making baby food is. I mean, you'd hope that the people who are making...
You would hope. You would hope. Yeah, I mean, okay, you can at least see it. Yeah, we're in this twister, right? In this system where wherever you go, it doesn't matter what, you're still tied to everyone and everything, and you're going to be poisoned if everyone else is poisoned. You're going to suffer to absorb the same kind of toxicity that exists in the network.
There used to be a time when you could really get away from it. Like, you really could go off network, go off grid, get out.
Yeah, you can move to
Get your
Costa
own-
Rica.
You can
or
move to
move
Costa Rica, but what about the rainwater? I mean, it's still somehow you're still being affected. So on one hand, you feel like, okay, I gotta get out. Like the box is closing in. I can't like get out. You know, I can't. I want to get out, but I can't. So then maybe you find like that one way ticket. But then that's just you. Also, first of all, it's just you. What about everybody else? So you basically have to say, I don't care about anyone else, because there's this kind of weird calculation like. What, so I'm just going to let everybody else suffer and not worry about them? Of course, I have to worry about myself, and I have to take care of myself, so I'm going to move. And on the other hand, if you move there, you'll find eventually something else squeezing in on you that you can't get out of, something else. So it's like it's not a comfortable feeling. So the next natural idea, the next natural thought is, you know what, I'll just live with it. I'll just go with it.
Check out the chat here. I'm seeing, first of all, great to see everybody in the chat.
Wow.
As usual, our very alive and kicking chat is happening here. Mancini said these companies make what we're willing to pay for.
At the end of the day, that's true.
And that's true. Also Annie wrote there that grabbed my attention. I don't like the word sustainable. It's a word trap. That's a funny thing that I identify with. It's like the gluten-free thing, in a way. Like if you want to be
Right, you just put that
yeah,
word
you
on
put
it.
that step. Hey, we are.
So organic, you can have an organic chocolate that
There
has
you go.
200 times the amount of lead.
Unbelievable.
Because that's not one of the items that's measured in
Right.
labeling something organic.
So we're completely full of toxins. Whether or not we feel it right now, it's the same thing with like cancer. It's like you could be smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, but if I get cancer 30 years from now, all right, maybe I'll deal with it 30 years from now. But really, it's unavoidable. I'm either smoking cigarettes or I'm eating a credit card with a plastic, or I'm having all these talks. Basically, you're cutting your lifespan. Is that ultimately what we're scared of, or I'm increasing my suffering a little bit later on? Mm-hmm. Is that is that kind of the calculation? Is that what we're scared of
Okay,
here when
so
we're reading these things?
Let's keep that question. Let it linger
All right.
for a little bit. Let's go on to another thing. Another thing here,
All
right?
I'll follow you.
So I'll turn to all our viewers that are maybe, if you're new here, you're maybe wondering how all of this has to do with the wisdom of Kabbalah. That's where we're coming from. That's that's the lens through which we look at all of these things. So we're gonna get there. But here's another thing that caught our attention in preparation for this show.
Yeah.
So this is not new, but it's something that we've learned just recently, that in 2019 there was a very interesting situation with TikTok. That's why it found its place into our title as well for this episode. So in 2019 there's a psychiatrist. Her name is Kirsten Müller-Wahl. She's in Germany, and she starts receiving patients that they are teenagers and they have uncontrollable tics, right? Something that looks like Tourette's. They blurt out all kinds of profanities, and they have uncontrollable gestures, and it looks like Tourette's, but none of them has any history of it. And it's a weird situation. So Kirsten Müller-Wahl, psychiatrist in
Tourette's
Germany.
is usually some kind of genetic issue, right? It's a genetic disease. Tourette's.
I think it's a part of it. I don't know the
It's just rare that
the
all of a
details,
sudden you
all the
start
details.
getting.
Yeah, but it's not something that, if you had no history of it and it suddenly happens, that's
It's a kind of you
Yes.
need to investigate. Yeah.
And so what she does is she turns into the global Tourette's Researchers Association or assembly of some sort. It exists, such a thing, and they tell her that this is happening all over the world, right? So now the same situation with many teenagers, not just in Germany, not just even in Europe, different time zones, different geographies, different kinds of people speaking different languages. A lot of teenagers all of the world over are experiencing these uncontrollable tics to the point that it's bad enough that they went to get treatment, right? Now, that perplexes all of the psychiatrists. And then what happens is this. One of the phrases, a phrase that these teenagers all over the world are repeating is, "You are ugly." They blurt it out uncontrollably. And apparently, it turns out
Kids watching TikTok.
Wait. I'm getting to TikTok.
Oh,
I'm getting to TikTok in a second. These kids are shouting, "You are ugly." That helped. That sent the psychiatrists on like a
Where did that come from?
Yeah, like let's research. Let's see where it comes from. So then, long story short, they find out that right around that time there was a new star on TikTok, a 20-year-old guy who documented his life with Tourette's. He actually has Tourette's, and he documented his life, and he became a TikTok sensation. Millions of views, millions of followers, and all that. And all of those teenagers from all around the world who went to get treatment for their uncontrollable tics apparently were fans and followers of that TikTok star.
Wow.
No longer a
So
coincidence.
this is what they call TikTok has created a mass psychogenic illness.
Is it a coincidence that the word tick is in the TikTok?
It's an interesting one.
That's kind of strange.
But so you have just think about what that means for a second. Just think about what that means. We've talked about a twister, in interdependence with respect to like our food production, industry, the rain, the climate, and all of that. Now we're saying this thing can also communicate whatever it is that we pour into it
Poison.
to millions of people around the world. Doesn't matter where
Like
they're
letting
from
your
and who they
chocolate
are.
in, something
This
like
is
your brain.
and they call it mass psychogenic illness, and
Psychogenic illness.
Yeah, which basically means that it's communicated through your psychology and then
Right.
comes out in actual like physical.
So it's not like these kids are watching TikTok and they're somehow they're not even thinking, oh, I hope I don't get this tick or something like that. It just kind of seeps in a little
Yes.
bit, and then and then all of a sudden they have
Yes.
it. And are they saying what they're saying? I don't know where I got this from.
Yeah. Now, let me immediately say something that will kind of like throw us into the other direction here, okay? And also for those people who are asking themselves, how does Kabbalah have to do with it? Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. But just think about this. Put this in your mind for a second. If TikTok can create a mass psychogenic illness, there's absolutely all the reason in the world, it makes all the sense in the world that it can also create a mass psychogenic healing process.
The opposite.
Like if we can be infected by these social media platforms in such a deep way, it doesn't mean that it has to be infected by negative things, by toxic things, or by illnesses. What if we were to spread a whole different kind of values and intentions and through these platforms? What if we were to spread connection and positivity and healing?
Now that you say that, everything we've talked about for the last 20 minutes now, if there was a different intention in everything, then people would unsuspectingly be ingesting food filled with love and care. People would unsuspectingly, like you wouldn't even need to, we're looking at these problems that we're facing in humanity and thinking that they're so big.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to get people to be healthy? How are we going to get people to think healthy? How are we going to get people to treat each other healthy? But you don't even really need to actually fix that. You can,
the
like
intention
right
is-
now, people are just being poisoned without even meaning to eat poison.
Right.
Now people are like getting these psychogenetic illnesses without even knowing they are. So like if things switch, people will, without even knowing, be ingesting health and vitality. Without even knowing, be ingesting thoughts that are.
This is super powerful, because if we really take a moment to take this in, we are right now in this 21st century, in this modern era, in this hyper-connected, virtualized, digitized, internetized, era, we are creating the infrastructure that allows us to easily influence and shape human behavior on a massive level. And that means that as hard as it seems to change human behavior, we now have the tools. We now have the infrastructure to
And
do
actually,
it.
It's even easier because all
And
this
it's easier,
time,
yeah.
I'm thinking, how are we going to convince the world
Convince, yeah,
that they
that's-
need to do this? Or how are we going to
problematic word.
educate every child?
Yeah, you
towards
don't
this?
even
Or-
need to convince.
Right.
Almost, you just basically we just need.
And it just becomes in the food, in
yeah,
the
it's
every,
it's in the air. It's in the phone.
eating
it's,
eating
yeah.
a credit card of plastic, right? It's like
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing. There's something. You know how if you think about electricity, right? Like so, 200 years ago or so, electricity was like was I think it didn't even exist it didn't even exist in terms of grids and like
Yeah.
on a massive kind of level. Today, electricity is obvious. It's nowhere and everywhere, right? Because it's everywhere,
Right.
but you don't. It's so built into everything that we do and everything that we. Why am I talking about this? Because we had a power outage a couple of days ago, and I
Last show.
suddenly and that what
Right, yeah.
show.
last show
Yeah.
right before the show last Thursday we had a power outage here in the whole neighborhood, and then for a few hours all of a sudden you realize how everything that we do is like, oh, I cannot. My food is now going bad in the fridge. I have no light. I have no heating. I got nothing basically. No internet. No, like phone is losing its battery in a second. All of a sudden, you got nothing.
You're back down to you're back down to zero.
It's
You're a
caveman.
useless person.
You're back to
You're
caveman
a
basically.
useless person.
And that's like all of that didn't even exist 200 years
Right.
ago. You know what I mean? So, in a similar way, we are building today through these.
It's also interesting that the energy has to constantly flow.
Yeah.
You can't
through
disconnect
to
Yeah,
keep it going.
yeah.
As soon as it stops,
Humanity is
off.
gradually shaping itself like a global superorganism where everything has to circulate through the
And it has to keep
entire
going, otherwise
organism.
it's off.
Always like in a living organism, like are the 50 trillion cells in our body. What is it that makes them alive? It's the constant communication,
Right.
constant transformation, constant
what's the-
transportation.
you said-
The oxygen has to flow
The oxygen,
through the
yes.
all of the
Yeah.
cells. The heart has
The light.
to pump the blood. You have to breathe in and
Yep.
breathe out. There has to be constant circulation. Today, in humanity in the 21st century, we're building the infrastructure for that circulation to occur, but at the moment, what circulates is bad.
But you said the
Microplastics.
intention.
Is microplastics
Listen,
and
Kabbalah
toxins.
speaks about
Yeah.
intention all the time. You're like, where's the intention? What's the intention? Where's the intention?
Yeah.
Here you're saying, basically, it's like intention is built into this thing without it's like say it's subconscious, right? The intention, a person doesn't even know I'm trying to do bad. That's not what they're thinking, but that's just what happens because I'm trying to get a profit. But in the end, it's just it's against other people. So that intention is kind of what's flowing through all these.
It's
things.
coming through.
And now you're starting to see it. It's like bearing its
we're
fruit.
starting
And we're like,
to
wait a second,
see
do I
it
want
on
that?
the- on
and,
the-
and you're like, where's that coming from? And you're saying it's not from
Yeah.
this or from that. It's from
Yeah.
like the intention. So you just change, like you said, you just change the intention. And then what's flowing through that electricity, what's flowing through that lifeblood is a completely different oxygen. It gives you a completely different life because you're not sucking life for everyone. The intention is usually I just want it a little bit for myself. And if everyone's for themselves, he's taking it for himself, he's taking it for myself. Why would I not take for myself? You're joining the club, right?
Yeah, and you don't consider it like something
Nothing
weird
bad,
or
yeah,
bad
right.
or
It's the grain,
too
right.
extreme.
You only start considering it when I'm eating a credit card of plastic a day, or whenever there's a
a week.
metals
We're
in
still
my-
at a week. We're still at a week.
Okay.
We're
A day. Yeah. See, at first I thought it was a year, then you changed it to a week. Now I'm confused. Could just be, but still every day you're basically hurting yourself, but you're not doing it intentionally, right? You're just part of the system that just happens to be supplying to you something terrible for you, and you're and we're
Right.
just kind of
I'm just
starting to
taking
notice it.
I'm just taking my family to the beach for the weekend. I'm not intending to put lead or to
Right.
be part of a process that's putting heavy metals
just
into
are. Yeah.
children's baby food.
Right.
you didn't plan to have, or the new mom of today
Right.
didn't plan to have to feed her newborn with microplastics, but that's what's coming through her breast milk.
Yeah.
That just shows the level to which the level of interconnectedness and interdependence that we've arrived at.
There's nothing to be scared of either, because that also is the same solution. It's also the same solution. It's giving you also the place of the problem, but also the place of the solution.
Yeah, global interdependence is not going anywhere. anywhere.
This is the wonder
This is-
of
yeah.
where we ended up right now.
The Great Transition, right?
Yeah, we ended up through the last generation or 100 years, we created a network between almost every
Yeah.
human being.
Yeah.
The network now exists. It was built, you could say, like on the flip side, because what's running through the network, it's killing us all.
Yeah.
In our thoughts and in our emotions, depression and disease and cancer and ticks and all that stuff. But the network now exists
Right.
between almost every single
Yeah.
human being.
Yeah.
You could fill that network with anything now.
Anything, yeah. The infrastructure exists.
And this is a wildly exciting.
It's a responsibility though, because all of a sudden I have a responsibility. Kind of. It's a little bit strange. Not, and maybe I don't feel, I'm not in charge of my chocolate company, and I don't have a responsibility to do good. But apparently I'm a part of that system. Somehow I'm contributing it, just like you're probably contributing to it. Somehow you're taking from it, and you're also contributing to it. So each person has some kind of responsibility. Is not great though. It doesn't feel
there's
good
another-
that you have responsibility.
There's another piece to it though, because if you were to go around and poll everybody about it,
Yeah.
people don't even have yet the idea
Right.
of what should flow through that
Right.
network. Right? It's just like
That's where
a solar power.
That's where
Or-
Kabbalah steps in a big way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly where Kabbalists are, first of all, take Bala Sulam, the greatest Kabbalist of the previous century. He writes about the world today 100 years ago.
First of all, how do you even?
How do you even do that? Yeah, first of all, but he writes to you, and it's like, what? How did he write this 100 years ago? When he writes something like, our world has already reached a point where everyone's sustenance depends on everyone else in the world.
That would just be a joke 100 years ago. What are you
Exactly,
talking about?
when even when Arthur C. Clarke, was it, who envisioned the internet before it
Right,
existed?
yeah.
When he came out with that, it looked
People were
like
like, "Where is
really
that?"
weird.
Yeah.
Like, well, this is sci-fi
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
So it's not far from how Kabbalists are writing things way before, because from their point of view, they're looking at it's like a geneticist looking at certain genes that if they're there,
And how
something's
they be
gonna
expressed.
grow and how they're going to be expressed.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Kabbalists. They're connecting to what we call the reshimo, the spiritual gene of humanity, and they're seeing where it goes, and it's going towards complete interconnection, complete global 100% interdependence. There's nowhere to run.
Well, there's interconnection between prisoners and wardens. So it's not enough. Like
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is there's a lot of connection between the Russians and the Ukrainians right now.
Okay.
Right, so it's not-
Say more. Say more.
Okay.
Where are you going with this?
So laying the wires to connect all
Yeah.
of humanity is part of the step, but then what flows through that is there's an expression in the books of Kabbalah: the wicked prepared and the righteous will wear it. Like, I don't know how to exactly say it right now.
Let's unpack it.
Let's unpack
That's
that.
actually seems very relevant. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give it a shot. Help me out with this. So the wicked prepares it, the righteous will wear it. That sounds very biblical and weird and archaic and maybe even.
First of all, who's the wicked?
Yeah, what are we talking about? Like,
Very lyrical, though.
yeah,
That
but it's
sounds good. Throw
it
in
is
a
though.
song every once in a while.
But okay, so I would put it like this. Essentially, what Kabbalah describes is that in the evolutionary process of humanity, the development of the ego comes first. It needs to happen. It's part of the process.
Debbie Brady said, what if this is part of some grand plan?
It is part of a grand plan. Yeah, Debbie, it is part of a grand plan. It's just nature's plan. The plan is designed by nature. And so, yeah, so the evolution of the ego is a precondition for our conscious connection. Because we can build our conscious connection, our positive connection, only on top of this ego, which is the opposite force. And so through this oppositeness, we can consciously connect to each other. And that's the difference between the rest of nature and human beings, between fish and ants and bees that are all those social species that are communicating and collaborating in massive scales with no intellect and no conscious sense of self. For human beings, we have a conscious sense of self. More than that, we feel ourselves individually and independently separate from the rest of reality, the rest of humanity, the rest of nature. Every human being feels independent. Every human being feels uniquely individual. And so that is actually the precondition for us to consciously connect to each other while remaining conscious,
So
not being fish.
Exists, you're saying that precondition? It sounds like it exists pretty well. The connection is there, but it's completely detrimental to all of us. It's almost like I completely rely. I have to have my chocolate, but the thing that I have to have is killing me a little bit slowly. I have to have my rainwater. I have to have my water, but it's actually killing me a little bit slowly. So on one hand you're connected. On one hand you're like, I don't want to be connected. I want to be by myself. I want to go to Costa Rica so I can take care of myself.
We can't. The way that we develop is we can't want something until we want it. So the issue.
That's a good way of
I don't
putting
get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, say it again.
We can't want something unless we want
thanks.
it.
Say it again.
Even if we were to poll with all the crap that's going on in the world today, if we were to go out and speak to people, it's still not, as Jordan Peterson would say, it's not obvious to me that everybody would say, yeah, we just need everyone to love each other and then everything will be better.
Right.
It's still not clear.
Yeah.
I think most people would say, like, I need a better paying job, or I don't want to work as many hours, or we just need to kill Putin, or we need to get rid of Donald Trump, or we just need to, get rid of carbon, the
so many
combustion
things to
engine.
take care
I think
of.
this is what people would be focused on, and not there has to be a need that develops. This is kind of where the
now I see what
intro
you're saying.
came from, that you have these huge problems, and now it's even in our food. Like, this need needs to erupt
Right.
Yeah.
in the people, that
Yeah.
we need a way out of this problem.
Well, how many things do you want on the list? I mean, if you just look at the 10 years, how many things are being added to the list every single day of, like, things that are wrong? It's like this infinite scroll that just, like, it's just another thing.
That's the
Chocolates,
point.
credit card plastic,
Vegetables.
vegetables.
What else is left?
Yeah,
It's water.
This is also what really I find it kind of funny with all of these technologists.
Funny haha or funny weird?
No, funny, like childish funny.
Okay.
Like, that you have all of these. I don't want to. You have all kinds of people, smart people, very smart people. Like the Kurzweils of the world and the Elon Musks of the world and all that, and sometimes people of that kind are talking about, like, the technology is the savior. Technology
gonna populate Earth. I mean, Mars. and
populate
then we'll-
Mars, or AI is gonna solve so many problems.
Well, they did fix the rainwater thing. Did you see that?
No, I'm not saying. Okay, so this is a good point. There's a bunch of things that technology can help with, and it already is helping with things. And you can say, people are living longer than they did 100 years ago, and so on and so forth. But if you understand the simple truth that we have toxins in our chocolate, not because we don't have the technology
Right.
to clean them, because we don't have the need, the desire, the intention to keep everybody healthy, to keep everybody safe. We don't have the basic understanding that we're all connected, and if I send some toxins your way, it's gonna come back.
That's the thing.
It's
People
gonna
don't-
come back.
I need to be able to see it one to one. If I'm doing harm to you, I need to feel that it's coming back to me immediately.
So we don't feel that,
Right.
and so of course technology, if used with the same egoistic intentions, as great as the potential of it could be, AI, big data, all those things, I can see that going very south, very.
So that's
very bad.
that's the
very
wicked
bad.
preparative. They're preparing all of the groundwork. They're preparing all these great, like, really in potential great technology, great things. So what is the righteous will wear it then?
So the one technology that we need to develop that has nothing to do with wires or metals or
Alright.
digital is the heart technology, the heart and mind technology of changing our intention. And that is not a simple, hey, let's sing, that we love each other, kumbaya, it's all going to be. No, we're going to have to actually investigate our inner world. We're going to have to learn what it means. Human beings are going to have to go into their inner world, something that we are very far from in our 21st century. This is something that I would argue that actually, cultures of the past were much more, who didn't have technology and didn't have the right, were much
did they even
more.
know what it was meant to be bored?
They were much more in tune with their inner worlds, but it was just on a lower level of ego.
A lot of incredible cultures that did things with like peyote and all kind of ceremonies and stuff to go into these worlds. But as you just said, until all of humanity became connected, so you're going into your inner world, but you're going into your inner world, as one cell. But now, how does humanity discover everyone else inside of that world together, that we all share some eternal inner space between us?
That's the connection that Kabbalists make. I do not think that anyone else is making that connection in such a clear, practical, step-by-step methodological way. That we are connected to each other through our inner world. That's what human beings. And if you just imagine it, without like fancy language, just in a simple way. If you feel internally connected to humanity, that it's a part of you. It's a part of you. You belong to that species, and they all belong to you. You're all part of one thing, and you keep that in your heart. If you keep that in your heart, you won't be able to harm.
Is that your intention?
The
that you're
people
talking about? That's
outside of you.
When you say we need to change our intention, that's what it is. I don't know what my intention is right now. I'm just trying to be like a normal dude and go to the store and get my chocolate. I don't even feel like I have intention. So what am I even changing? It's kind of it's already a few steps ahead. But if a person can already hear, like what you said, if a person can already hear that if I'm being harmed and I'm also harming because we're connected somehow, and I'm it's reciprocal somehow, then I need to find something inside of me that changes. You could also say my attitude. You don't have to say intention. You could also say my attitude. How do am I thinking about them a little bit more, thinking about this thing outside of me a little bit more than I'm thinking about myself? Because from day to day, you're barely even you're thinking about yourself. You barely even notice that.
You're mostly on autopilot.
You're mostly on autopilot, right?
That's
a normal
true.
person is mostly on autopilot. So I don't even know if you can even approach that demographic. So who are you actually talking to in this case?
I would say that the purpose of the human being is not to be on autopilot. Autopilot is what all of nature is on. The still vegetative, the still level of nature, the vegetative level, the animate level of nature. Instinct. That's what it means to be on autopilot.
But wouldn't you say that most every human being outside is also running most of
I would say even more of that. I would say that I wish that more of my moments in life would not be on autopilot. Of course, this is a constant conscious work that human beings should do, but they're able to do it.
Autopilot basically got us to where we are today. That's kind of what actually we're saying.
Kind of. I mean, let's go global for a second. Look at what's happening in the world today. Even in the, as smart as we are, highly technological civilization thinking about colonizing Mars, right? We have the satellites around planet Earth connecting us through connecting people through time and space, above geography and so forth. We're really advanced, and yet there's still war. We can't stop killing each other. There's violence. Politics, world leaders, their thinking, their mindset is, how can I be the best, the most, the greatest? I need everything.
Not only country versus country, within countries,
exactly.
Within towns, within schools.
We're so juvenile when it comes to understanding the basic truth that we're connected to each other and we're connected to nature. Now, why is it? Is it because people are dumb? No, it's because the ego is that autopilot that we're on. So we're not even thinking that we need to rise above it, to do something beyond that.
I love this.
So you have to go beyond autopilot.
I feel it viscerally. To when a plane lifts off,
Yeah.
in order to get up, it
It's a good
needs
example.
that
friction.
That friction.
Yes.
Otherwise, it can't lift.
Yeah, that's good.
And so, without the one shaman who is having his peyote experience, that's one magical experience. But today,
But there's no friction like you have
this
today.
friction
Exactly.
of all of humanity, even within the family, within myself, I'm at war.
Because it just seems like it's annoying. It just seems like an annoying thing that I need to, like, I don't know, get rid of, to make it go away kind of thing. But you don't see that there's actually some kind of value
So that
there.
friction is this fuel that nature has provided us, and if we take this in our hand now,
Channel it. Use it.
right,
Yeah.
instead of, because most of our world, our life, our day-to-day is built around how can I escape from, how can I
Distract
calm
myself
myself, how can I
from, or-
distract myself, how can I eat something to get away from it. But
And this is the difference between this and all kinds of indigenous practices like what you've mentioned, and Kabbalists. Kabbalists have a method that is for our time.
actual heaviness, that actual gravity, that actual ego
they're saying we know you have an ego. You cannot avoid it.
Right.
You can't try to bend it, and you can't try to ignore it. This
Or
is
shrink it,
is
yeah.
gravity. You want to build a plane that goes above gravity? Let's build a plane.
Now we're talking, and now
That's
all
what
of the
humanity
aliens
needs
you want to
today.
find, all of the worlds you want to
Yeah.
discover, the previous civilizations, everything you
But
want.
just a good life, how about? How about just a
Yeah,
good
how
life?
about just a good life?
How about
How
just
about not
everything?
having toxins in my dark chocolate
still,
and,
give me-
breast milk and
let me feel good for,
microplastics
actual
and not
second.
eating credit cards? Can we just
Right,
have
right.
that
That's
and
actually
not
a pretty
war?
long list.
Can we stop killing
That's
each
a-
other,
you're
please?
adding to the list.
Can we solve
It's all the
conflicts
same,
in a better way?
Problem,
Yeah.
basically, you're saying.
Basically, every possibility we could imagine is available and is on the other side of this challenge. So the exciting opportunity we have right now, and this is something that everybody can do. When you look at all of the troubles that you see in life, start to adjust, because remember how we started talking today. We exist in a field of endless energy, endless light, endless everything, endless giving, all the stars. There's billions upon billions of stars, even in our galaxy, and our galaxy is one of billions of galaxies. There's endless energy. All we feel is opposite and suffering. So let's look at everything that's happening as where in this mechanism can we start to calibrate it so that we can use the forces that are coming at us in order to leverage.
I saw this whole leverage. You're like that's like it's like a thing that you need to get into, right? But how do you even get into it? I saw a new thing. I sent it to our group here. It said that research shows that people who turn to social media, and it could be anything. Social media could be Netflix. It could be a brownie in the fridge or whatever, right? It's like anyone who turns to social media, but we can use that as a broad word, to escape from superficial boredom. This is very interesting. Are unwittingly preventing themselves from progressing to a state of profound boredom, which may open up the door to a creative, meaningful experience. So people are finally starting
Hold on.
to put
So what
some
happens
things
from
together.
profound?
Wait. So let's just say it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Slowly
Here it
what you
is.
just said.
Ready?
Let me say it in my words. Tell me if I get it right.
No, go.
You're
I'm
basically
watching.
saying we are all on autopilot, going to our social media feeds or whatever, or or to Netflix or whatever it is, And basically, what this is saying is, if we don't distract ourselves from the boredom becomes a portal to
Have a
something
need.
deeper in your inner world.
Yeah.
Okay.
They finally recognize it. No, there's just two different kinds of boredom. We can label it as boredom because boredom, really, what is boredom? It's such a weird thing. Boredom to me, every time you feel boredom, you're like,
it's a very human thing.
It's very human.
There is show me an animal that's bored.
Right.
Show me an animal. Show me a tiger that.
Because it's suffering. But boredom is basically suffering.
I kind of don't know what to do but my life.
What should I do now? I have so many things to do all this time, right? What should I do?
This or do that? I don't know.
Autopilot's like, hey, choose any of them. Whatever you want.
This is uniquely human.
Yeah.
You know. Go ahead, keep going.
No, I mean, I think everyone figured it out. So if you allow yourself to enter into this, how do they say it? Mm-hmm. Profound boredom, which opens doors to more creative and meaningful activities, we could substitute that for thinking about why everything is bad and what is actually bad, what's actually wrong with the world, and start fixing it instead of trying to make a buck.
Yeah, we're not here to preach that people shouldn't be scrolling through social media. That's not
Make
the point.
That disclaimer, please.
The fundamental thing that I'm hearing you say is that. Like in the video games where like you have a special power if you push the button, but as you push the button, the meter goes down, and you have to wait for it to power up, and then you can push the button down. Then
yeah.
So like the more we distract ourselves constantly, that meter never gets to be full. Like you never get to pull the bow back enough.
It's uncomfortable.
So you constantly just cancel it.
Right.
But if you let it go, then you say, it's like what happens when a drug addict or someone hits rock bottom. They're like, I need to change now.
Right.
You know? But if you don't allow yourself to get to that point, then you can live decades. You could live your whole life just constantly just pouring water on top of this little fire, and it never gets a chance.
It's just not comfortable. It's just not comfortable. I mean, what do you expect from people who, they want to feel good, and if I have the opportunity to feel good, why am I not going to take it for what? Like, what am I, So some people find Kabbalah in there, and they figure out exactly what to do in those moments and how to use, like, the fuel you said to take off in the air. But for a normal person, it's almost like...
But if it's reframed with the right kind of movies or songs or stories, it's actually a person starts to feel that he's the hero in a movie. I mean, you're on a hero's journey because now all of these things that are coming from you, it's like almost like the Matrix. You're like walking around, but actually the kids now talk about NPCs, what is an NPC?
Non-player characters.
Yeah. That like you're walking through life.
I had a chat with Ali about this. She also saw something.
Your wife,
I think. Or she had a talk with my son about this. Anyway, in relation to like NPCs, it's very interesting. The idea that for kids today, they think about themselves as, am I an NPC or am I an actual...
That's actually pretty
I've
advanced.
heard them say, that's Claire. An NPC right there.
That's an advanced thought,
That's very interesting.
So basically what they're saying is this person is just living, what did we call it for the last 10 minutes?
It's just like
on instinct.
Autopilot.
This person's living on autopilot.
Yeah, basically.
An NPC,
Yeah. So basically, Kabbalah is saying this, folks. It is saying the human being was not destined to live on autopilot. The human being has the potential to be a consciously living creature, so conscious that we are actually meant to be partners with nature itself. Partners with the guiding intention behind all of nature. We are being involved. It's like a kid that's being involved in his own development, in his own growth. That's what humanity is. And so
it seems so lofty. It seems so high sometimes.
Like too big for.
But I think that if you get to this profound boredom, and you somehow meet that thought, meet that concept, then you can feel that there's some truth to it. And feeling that truth, because Seth loves using the bittersweet true and false narrative, like we're living in a bittersweet world where we measure everything. Is it sweet? Is it good for me? Or is it bad for me? And that's how I make my decisions.
Right.
If you enter this profound boredom state, then you're already kind of ignoring the bitter sweet because it already has no flavor.
You're looking for another
You're
parameter,
looking for something else.
like another set of coordinates. And Kabbalah calls this truth and false.
Truth and false, yeah.
And
it actually has more flavor.
And that's what the study of Kabbalah, I would say, that's a nice way of explaining what it gives to a human being.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a whole other set of coordinates by which to navigate yourself in reality.
Yeah.
Instead of just, oh, I like this, I hate this, this feels good, this feels bad. You know, right. where can I get more of what feels good? Where can I stay away from what feels bad?
Right. Which is exhausting.
Which is exhausting and ultimately futile and doesn't
And
you don't really have anything.
And in the end, you're having toxins and everything anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And even the stuff, the good stuff, so to speak, good stuff.
Right.
Ultimately, when this body dies, it dies with you.
Right.
Nothing. It's all lost. Whatever it is that you're gonna have in life, it's gonna be lost in a few years. You know it's done. Sorry to be so, but Kabbalah raises you to start. It helps you start identifying with something beyond. Oh man, we went too deep now.
No, we didn't. We're just getting started.
Beyond your life cycle, I would say. Beyond this, you start seeing that your life, your whatever, 100 years, 120 years, however, may you all live long and prosper. But whatever it is, it's just it's a trip, it's a journey that its purpose is really just to rise to an eternal kind of existence where all of nature, all of the energy behind nature, if you will, exists in this timeless, spaceless existence. And it's not by chance that human beings can ponder that and contemplate
and
that.
Want it even a little
and
bit.
even want it a little bit. Of course, we're getting distracted, and our society and Netflix and Hollywood and whatever, just kills that desire in us. Just gets us into those hamster wheels where we just kind of like, okay, give me more, distract me, scroll the feed, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, this is what Kabbalah helps you do. You start while living in this world with this body, having to take care of it and stay away from toxic chocolate and whatever,
Toxic chocolate.
You begin to identify with an eternal existence that you're part of. Literally.
There's no way to feel it on autopilot.
Yes.
You don't accidentally discover it, kind of thing.
You have to want every bit of it.
To win the World Cup, like happened, like Messi and Argentina did last week or 2 weeks ago.
Ooh.
The feeling of the entire world watching, the feeling of coming home and millions of people cheering, that feeling comes after thousands of mornings of waking up earlier than anyone else, and thousands of nights instead of going out, you're juggling in the backyard the soccer ball and watching the videos and putting in the time and doing the effort. So
it's no accident, huh?
It does it right, and then the entire world is behind you and supporting
That's a great
you
example.
because you
That's
made
a
those
really
things.
good example.
So the benefit that those guys have is they're getting paid crazy money, and they're getting
The reward is clear.
The reward is obvious.
Yeah.
If I put in my time, I'm going to get, many millions of dollars, and I'm going to get licensing deals on sports memorabilia, all that stuff. So it's a little different. But for us, our goal is even bigger than winning the World Cup. We're talking. You just started to open up the door to eternal existence and eternal. So
beyond the body,
So we
beyond this
need
life,
to
beyond the body, beyond the ego.
We need to build a society around us that starts to value this.
Yes.
So that when we're getting up in the morning to juggle the soccer ball and go for that run, so to speak,
Yeah.
when we're faced with, I'm sure Messi didn't want to wake up at 4 a.m. every morning. I'm sure he wanted to hit the alarm clock and go back to bed.
Friction.
Yeah, but when we're faced with that
Nice.
friction now, to be able to reframe it, because we're surrounded now by others who are on this journey with us, who are supporting us in all this, and we can start to get to clearly see the real World Cup, the real
Yeah.
goal, which is
Like that.
And you know what's cool? I'm sure take back to Messi, and if you already went into that example, those whatever, whatever athletes that are dreaming about their, super achievement, world achievement, they're, even before they get there, they're motivated by and encouraged by and enjoying that future goal. They bring it
what
into
makes
the
you
present.
work so hard, when
It's
you
what-
feel like you're
it's
going to
what-
die, when you're running and you
Exactly.
feel like I'm going to die, and you keep going because you imagine how
It's-
great
it's
it's going to
only
be
because you
when
have-
everyone in my country
Exactly.
is cheering
It's
for
almost
me.
magic. It's
you,
almost
you
works
have
like magic.
the greatness of the goal that allows you to feel the future in the present, to the point that it
Imagine you're
allows
running
you
so
to
hard.
overcome the
Animals
suffering
cannot do
right
that,
now.
by the
Yeah.
way.
Animals cannot.
You're
do that, yeah.
running so hard. You're trying to you're doing sprinting goals, and you literally, your lungs
feel
feel
death.
like
You feel like you're gonna
you're
die.
going to die.
Yeah.
But somehow that goal comes up again, and you just have the ability
Yeah.
to pass through, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on that note,
Oh, that's funny. Yetzi says, profound boredom opened my fridge door. Good for you, Yetzi. We all feel that. Yeah, I agree. I agree to that.
Mechanical Elves is writing, developing a soul is worth more than the entirety of Earth, I guess.
We just
he's
got to
trying to
convince
say.
each other that that's true.
That is very well put, I would say. Yeah. Yeah.
2-minute warning, Debbie?
Man.
Can you give us a couple more?
It is kind of hot in the room.
Yeah, it got really hot.
It got hot.
I thought it was just my hot
we have
coffee.
an aircon here. We have to also. We Debbie's right. We're officially reaching our end, but maybe we can just take it. Can you give us a few more minutes?
Can we stretch it just a bit?
I'm gonna try to just cool it here. 23. That makes sense.
23 is nice.
Yeah.
It's not going to get there by the time it's over, but it'll work.
Okay. So let's try even more. Okay, friends. So let's do something.
You have another surprise or something? Is that what you're trying to say?
we have a situation. We have a situation, friends.
Okay.
This man here, he went on a plane a couple of hours ago, and he just landed. He's still jet lagged, and that's why he doesn't have his guitar here.
Oh,
That's his excuse, and it's a good one.
Okay.
And it's a good one.
My friends bought the excuse.
Because we said we did buy it because look, we said we have this opportunity to do the show in the studio, all of us in the same room. Let's play live music. But then he had a good excuse. So, for lack of a better choice, for lack of a better choice, and only for that reason,
All right.
you're going to you're going to experience something that usually doesn't happen. It never happened before on TGT, but
First time in the history
I'm
of the
going
universe.
to try to sing with my friends.
All right.
Oh,
they're Okay.
excited. They're excited.
Okay, this is not really a song. It is something that I sent Seth one day, like 2 years ago or something, and it didn't continue since then. But maybe we can produce it with our friends who know how to produce music sometime, and even complete the song. But the lyrics are kind of fitting in terms of everything we talked about today. Okay, so here's how it goes. Okay, so. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, maybe you'll kind of scroll the lyrics here because I'm not even going to pretend that I remember them. And
Patricia wants to know: are you actually a lefty, or is the?
I'm lefty. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Right,
There
I'm
you
lefty,
go.
and this is an upside down guitar, so that I can play. All right, friends. So here it goes. Very simple songs, 3 chords.
Three chords of the truth.
Wake up, human race, and taste the great desire. It never ends, it takes you higher, higher. Ooh, I see the depressed. I see the world a mess. We're in the ego chase and it is craziness. We gotta cry and die to try to feel a new desire. When our hearts are as one and we feel everyone, we depend on each one on the integration. If we feel as one man, then we're gonna make a fire. Rise above, feel the love and inspire. If I say, will you make me feel higher? Can you see that we gotta inspire desire? Come on everybody and see how it's done. If we put our hearts together, we feel as one man. In a world going round and round and round, gotta shine the light to everyone. Come on everybody and see how it's done. If we put our hearts together, we feel as one man. In a world going round and round and round, gotta shine the light to everyone. Companies want us to click on their ads. Hollywood is tricking us with passing fads. The social media is antisocial. The television distorts our vision. We gotta ask, where do we go from here? Look into the future, see some of that fear. We really have to change direction. We need more human connection. A wise man once said, I wish the whole world would be as one body. I would embrace it and leave out nobody. But in this world we forgot about each other. We gotta get closer. We gotta go higher. We gotta be better. We gotta go higher. We gotta get closer to each other. Come on everybody and see how it's done. If we put our hearts together, we feel as one man. In a world going round and round and round, gotta shine the light to everyone. Come on everybody and see how it's done. If we put our hearts together, we feel as one man. In a world going round and round and round, gotta shine the light to everyone. Next Thursday we will be here at 2 p.m.
Thanks for coming by, everybody. We got a great transition live.
Thank you, Edidia, for saving the day and switching this broadcast behind the scenes. This has been fun. We will see you on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Bye-bye, everybody.